Hey there guys, how's it going? The Reaper here, and after a bit of a delay in the channel, been moving house, so a lot of things going on in my life, had not had access to internet for a bit. I am now back with another Take in the Butchers, and in today's video I'm going to be looking at Town of Salem. Town of Salem is best described as the party game Mafia, also known as Werewolf. If you're familiar with either of those concepts, it's basically that style of game, quite an odd concept, made into, in this case I'm playing on the browser version, it's also available on the Steam store, but basically it's an online way you can play with random people to play that party game. If you're unfamiliar with either Mafia or Werewolf, which you might be, it gets played on Twitch quite a lot, it's quite an interesting stream to watch. It's basically a big group of people form the overall town, and there's the town team, which are the good guys, and then there's the much smaller Mafia in this case, or in the Werewolf version it's the Werewolf team. Basically, the werewolves know who each other are, they're the informed minority, and their job is to take out, methodically over a series of rounds, the other members of the town. The town's job, they have more people, but they don't know who each other are, you can't always trust what someone's claiming them to be, you only know who you are, and throughout the game the town members have to try and work together, work out who each other are, find the Mafia members through various means and abilities, which I'll demonstrate when we start the game. They've got to find the Mafia and take them out before the Mafia can take them out. There's also a couple of neutral roles who can win with either team, regardless of which team actually ends up winning, as long as they achieve their own objective. So they're not either on the town or the Mafia team, they're purely out for themselves. If they achieve their own objective, it doesn't matter which team wins to theirs. Even if they're alive at the end of the game, if they fail to achieve that objective, they will lose. So you've got the neutral roles, just to mix things up a bit and add a bit more confusion, because you have to work out some people might be out for themselves and are not playing for any particular team. So this game is entirely free to play. If you just Google Town of Salem, you can play it as I'm doing on the browser. There is a Steam version. The Steam version costs a few quid. What that does, it gets you a bunch of the pay-to-play currency, gets a few skins. I'm not sure what the exact deal is at the moment. I think it fluctuates. But it is a free-to-play game. However, there is a currency. Well, there's two currencies. The Eagle-Eye players may have... Eagle-Eye viewers, sorry, may have spotted that in the top right-hand corner. So there's the town currency, which is that gold currency. And there's the merit points. There's town points, which are gold. They are paid through real money. You can occasionally, because I haven't actually paid any real money to this, so you can occasionally get them, I think, through, say, Christmas events, or occasionally they might sort of donate them to certain accounts. I'm not sure what that exact situation is. It might vary. Merit points are played, they're earned through playing games, winning games, and if you stick around to the end, you get more for a win, and you get them for completing achievements as well. So if you achieve 5 wins with a certain class, you might unlock that achievement. That will get you some merit points. And there's a first win of the day bonus as well. So every 24 hours, first win you get is going to double your merit points. So you can earn merit points just by playing games and sticking around to the end. I'm going to go to the shop since I've started talking about the free-to-play currency and the pay-to-play currency. So I'm going to go to the shop. So the town points are the gold ones. Everything that can only be bought with the town points, which is the currency you need to pay real money to get. So if I purchase town points, that's the current costs at the time of making this video. They may be subject to change. That's not my decision. All the stuff that can only be bought with town points, so for example these houses, are purely cosmetic. So when you actually have the maps look a bit like this. Basically they're all kind of rings and they have towns surrounding them. Each player will have a town. It's purely cosmetic. All that's going to do is just change what your house might look like. You can have different skins, character skins, you can be different characters. Some of these can only be bought with town points, but they're purely cosmetic. They don't affect how the game actually plays. There are a few of them that can also be bought with merit points. You will need more merit points to buy some of these skins, but everything that can only be purchased with town points is purely cosmetic. Following on from that, everything that you can buy either with town or merit points is purely cosmetic, with the exception of the scrolls. So basically what the scrolls do, at the start of the game, you're randomly going to get chosen a class. You'll either be given a neutral role, a town role, or a mafia role. The chances of being any of them are exactly the same. So I think as standard there's a 7% chance based on how many players you've got, because it's 15 players in a standard game. Gives you, I think, a 7% chance of being any of the standard roles. If you equip a scroll, it's going to multiply that by 10, so it gives you, I think, a 42% chance of being that class. It doesn't change how that class actually plays. It doesn't give you any extra benefits or makes it easier or harder for everyone else to find you. All it does is increase your chance of you being picked as that class. Once you do get picked as that class, if you do eventually, that scroll is going to get destroyed, so it's a one successful use. So for example, if I like playing as a serial killer, which is a neutral role, I could buy a scroll for either 200 town points or 800 merit points in this case, equip that scroll, that's going to give me a much bigger chance of being my preferred class, But if I do get picked as a serial killer, it's going to be the exact same level playing field as if I'd picked it as a 7% chance. All it does is increase the odds of you being a certain type. So it doesn't give you any extra benefits, and everyone else still has a chance of being any of the classes. So you get no practical benefit of using a scroll. It's just if I have a particular class I like, I can pay some of my currency to increase my odds of being that class. And there's still a more than 50% chance I'm going to have to play as something else. So it's not a thing that's going to affect the actual game itself. I've bought scrolls with the merit points. It's fun just to be able to play as my preferred class. Everyone has different preferred classes, but it doesn't affect the practical nature of the game, which is nice. So anything that can be bought with only town currency, which is the pay-to-play, is cosmetic. The scrolls are the only thing that have an impact on what the actual game itself, in the case of what class you get picked as. They can be bought with either of the currency and they don't affect the actual nature of the game, which is nice. So there's nothing that can be bought with real or even with the free-to-play currency that's going to affect the actual gameplay, which is nice, and no one gets any unfair advantages. Hopefully I've covered that well enough. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is going to have a brief cut. I'm going to jump into a game and I'm going to try and explain as we go through what's happening and basically how the game works. I'm going to have a brief cut and I'll be right back. Alright then, we are game on. So every time you join a new game, you're going to pick a unique name for every kind of time you play. So your name is not based on your username, you pick a new one every time you start a new game. Sometimes players like to pick themes, so someone will suggest in the chat, oh, everyone pick this theme. Doesn't really matter though, you can pick pretty much whatever you want. Good time to point out, when you join a game, it's a process that's really quick, which I really like, never taking more than literally about 10 seconds to get enough people to start a lobby. If no one leaves in that 10 seconds, you're then going to kick off and you're going to get your chars chosen by random here. If I had a scroll equipped, that would increase one of my chances. In this case I didn't, so everything was 7% and I chose it as the escort, which is one of our town roles. All the town roles are in green, there's a list of them on the top left hand corner. So the escort in my case is one of the town roles. The job that, the unique ability is probably a better way of putting it, that I get. Every night when everyone tries to use their abilities, I can choose to block someone, whoever they might be. So the first day phase only lasts about 15 seconds because nothing's actually happened yet. People just sort of say hi and introduce themselves. So the role list in the top left hand corner, all the town roles are in green. All the mafia roles are going to be in red, and there's unique roles such as the executioner, the serial killer and the jester there. They're on neither side, they're the neutral roles. On to the first night phase. So I've got the list in the bottom right hand corner of all the people I can choose to distract. So here's my escort role sheet. It says distract someone each night. Distraction blocks your target from using their role's night ability. So say for example, the mafioso for the mafia team chooses who to kill tonight. If I happen to block him, that's going to prevent that kill. However, if I pick a town member, say the investigator, if I block him, it's going to stop him from being able to investigate. So at this point, I'm not entirely sure who I'm going to be blocking yet. Got to try things and just see what happens. Escort I found is quite good late game because you generally have a better idea of who's going to be who. If you suspect someone of being a killing role, if you can block them and no one dies that night, that generally makes you quite useful as the escort for being able to determine later on who the last sort of few killing roles might be. So Rosie was killed last night. She apparently committed suicide. That just means they left the game. That just makes it clear to everyone. So it says how they die. We could not find a last scroll. I'm going to briefly explain what that means once we've found out what happens. So our lookout was our town role. So when you die, it's going to give you whatever role you were. So there's no doubt anymore. They were definitely the lookout. They weren't attacked. They left because they committed suicide. If you check the chat log at any point, it says they left because they committed suicide. So they weren't attacked. So weirdly, no mafia kills and no serial killer kills. The serial killer also chooses someone to kill. Because I was the escort, if I escort the serial killer, they will automatically attack me. So the escort will also know. Dog in this case, I escorted him. He didn't kill me, so I know that Dog is not the SK. In the bottom left hand corner, Tio in the chat, I've just said Dog is Doctor or SK, so he's probably the investigator. And he's tried to tell everyone that. I know he's not the serial killer, so if Tio's telling the truth, that I know that Dog is going to be the doctor as opposed to the serial killer. So basically it's all about using all your information. So we've had a bit of a discussion phase, now comes the voting phase. And in this case, no one's really got that much information at this point. It's very difficult to get someone lynched on the first night. The reason for that is the executioner and the jester are both put in as neutral roles to kind of stop early game luck. So say the sheriff investigates someone and they turn out to be the serial killer. It stops them just immediately day one, giving the serial killer no chance going, I know it's him, and everyone just lynching him. Because you've got the executioner is trying to lynch a member of the town. The jester is trying to get themselves lynched. So generally if someone says immediately, oh, lynch this guy, they're thinking, well, you're probably the executioner, or you're the jester trying to get yourself killed. So I'm just going to check the chat logs, see if anyone's suspicious. Maybe I can escort them and block them to give us a bit more information as the town. Now, when it said in the chat we could not find a last will, that was the thing I was writing down earlier. So on night 1, I escorted Dog. I know they're not the serial killer. Night 2, Anne Hibbins. When Rose died, it said that we could not find a last will. Last wills are very important to this game, and I implore you, if you're going to play the game, write a last will. Basically what happens is, when you die, your role gets revealed, as I've said. Your last will also be shown to the entire game. You can't prevent someone, at least in the standard game mode, which is what I'm playing, from reading their last will out. So all the information, even if you get killed as a town member, there's no doubt about your role anymore. And if you write something in your will, you can give your information to the rest of the town. So let's just see who's died here. Our bodyguard has died. That's interesting. We've also got the town killing role, which is either the vigilante or the veteran. And there's also a random town role. In this case, we've got the bodyguard. Random town role just makes it a bit, doesn't make it too easy for everyone to be able to immediately determine who it is. So there's always going to be a random town role. That can be a duplicate of any of the town roles we've got. So you could have 2 doctors, could have 2 jailers, could have 2 escorts, could have 2 lookouts. So if more than one person, are claiming to be the same role, there's going to be a bit of doubt because sometimes there can be 2 roles. In this case, we knew Dog was a doctor. In this case, our random town was the bodyguard. So if anyone tries to claim at this point, I know the random town is dead. If anyone tries to claim to be a duplicate role of anyone who's died, so say we ask someone and they said, oh no, I'm a lookout, we know they're lying because the random town is dead, so the random town can't be a second lookout. And we know the random town is the bodyguard, so there can't be a second lookout. So you've got to think, who's the random town? Sometimes there can be 2. If it's a unique one, we know the random town role is, in this case, the bodyguard. So again, all about deducing, getting as much information as you can. This is a will here. Night 1, Minna Mafia. So that's the sheriff has done their job. Madara's done their job correctly. They've left the last will. That was what I was talking about. They've died, but they've managed to pass the information on. Madara said they investigated Minna, in the bottom corner there, on night 1 and determined that they were the mafia. We know Madara's not lying because they're dead. It's given their role, and their will has given the information that we need to take them down. Which is good. What happened? The bodyguard protected one of our people there. That's his unique ability. The serial killer attacked that person, and the bodyguard's role is, if that person gets attacked, the bodyguard dies for them and they take out their attacker. So the bodyguard died guarding someone, and the serial killer was killed by the bodyguard. So the bodyguard's done their job nicely, and we have taken out the serial killer, which is very good for town because serial killer is a big threat. And that's the will again, Minna Mafia. That's the sheriff's will. We now have the information we need. Enough people, thankfully, have read the will correctly. You can check over any dead person's will. Done their job correctly. We can now vote for Minna and take them out. So that's a practical example of why wills are so important. So I implore you, if you play Town of Salem, write a will. Wills can also be used by the Mafia and the neutral roles as well. The idea being there is, if you're claiming to be a role, say for example the sheriff, you're going to keep a will, or you should be at the very least, be keeping a will as you go along, so if you die you can tell the town. So if you claim to be a role, a lot of the time people will go, okay, go into your will, copy it and paste it into chat just to prove that you're keeping one, otherwise we're going to think you're lying. So if you write a fake one in your will in your will sheet, it's not real. So if you die, it's going to be irrelevant. However, you can go, if someone goes, all right, post your will if you're the sheriff then, you can post it, and they go, all right then, it just takes suspicion away from yourself. So the evil players, or the Mafia, the neutral players, can use it to their advantage as well. The town players need to write wills in order for to make sure they can pass on their information after they die. So wills are very important to the game, and there are too many people who don't make use of them. It's really annoying. You'll get a town investigator who'll die on night 5 and won't have written anything down when he could have given us potentially 4 or 5 people's roles. So we got Minna's role as a mafioso, so that's 1 down so far. It's probably slightly less important for an escort to keep one, however you should do it anyway. There's no reason not to. During the night phase you've got 40 seconds. I'm going to pick someone else. Ice's name is in brackets there just because they've left, so just make sure you don't accidentally pick someone who's left. I'm going to check Anne Hibbins again. I know they're not the serial killer. Serial killer's dead now anyway. But there weren't any, I don't think there were any mafia kills last night. And the serial killer has told us, there's a weird kind of cross tactic here. The serial killer has told us that Anne Hibbins is immune, which might mean that either the Godfather or the Executioner are both immune to attacks at night. So all these people that are attacked at night, the serial killer's immune to attacks at night to make it a bit easier for him. executioner is, and the godfather is. So the godfather's a bit harder to take down as well. So what the serial killer will do, if he runs into the godfather, knowing they're immune, because it will say if they're immune, will tell the rest of the town to try and get rid of the godfather, because he needs him dead as well. Same if the godfather or the mafia run into the serial killer because they're immune, they go, right, we know he's immune, we need to get him lynched because we can't kill him ourselves. So the serial killer has tried to tell us that Ann Hibbins is immune, so I've tried to block them to see if that's going to prevent the mafia kill. Because the mafioso's dead, so the godfather now has to do the killing for the mafia. Unfortunately, they were the jester. They were probably the executioner, because if the executioner's town target dies, they become a jester. Because if they don't get lynched, if they die at night, to give them a fair chance, they then become a jester. They have to get themselves lynched. So they were immune as the executioner. They were then turned into the jester and they were killed at night. Ice is the other jester, which is now dead. Does make it easier for town because no townies died, and we've got rid of some of the jester roles, which are neutral. They're only useful having around to vote if they're going to vote against the mafia, but otherwise neutral roles are not of benefit to the town. The only benefit is that they're not a mafia role, so you can use them. Everyone gets a vote, so if they're going to vote in your favour, that's fine. You just need to make sure you've got to be careful about who you lynch, because sometimes you might lynch a jester and you don't want to do that. So I'm seeing if we can get any information. So apologies if I am rattling through this quite quickly. You do pick this up quite quickly if you understand the basic concepts. I've done this quite a few times. I'm kind of a veteran. I know what I'm doing. But you just have to you'll get more experience and you'll understand a basic concept quite quickly when you play this game. So looking for any more information we have. I don't think we have a lot at the moment. The chat unfortunately can become a bit of a wall of text. Someone's accusing me just I think because I'm not talking very much. Seems to be there could be a mafia person. I don't know yet, because obviously the mafia are going to try and draw suspicion towards certain people. I'm not really sure what their role is yet. It is kind of maybe a good time to point out the biggest problem I have with this game is unfortunately its community. It's not a bad community overall. I'm not knocking most of the people who play it. However, unfortunately it is one of those games that is going to be affected quite heavily by people who just mess around or deliberately troll, or say you'll get godfathers who'll leave on night one because they don't like the role, but then if the godfather leaves on night one, they're dead. That's going to completely swing the game around. If the serial killer leaves on night one, that's a big change. And you'll get people who just troll, will give away their teammates, and will just not understand the concepts of the game and just vote when they shouldn't. Or they could be a town killing role, which is the vigilante, who is a town role who can try and kill someone, but will just pick a random player, end up shooting one of the town members, and that ruins stuff. It doesn't mar the game completely, otherwise I wouldn't be playing it. It is a point against it. It's rare for something like that really to happen. Unfortunately, I've just died, killed by the mafia at night, so that's the screen that pops up. I've now got the dead chat. But it does annoyingly affect the game occasionally. Another thing to point out, all these dead townie members, once you're dead you are free to leave and just start a new game. So for example, the lookout and the bodyguard died quite early on. The lookout died night one. If you die night one, it is a little bit irritating because you can't really contribute anymore. However, it takes seconds to just jump out of the game once you're dead, and then jump in another game. It's not that big a deal. If you die a bit later in, you might want to probably find out how everything breaks down. You are free to leave. However, if you've died kind of this point in the game, like I've died now, I'm probably going to want to stick around just to see what happens and just to see how it all turns out. Also, there are a few things you can do while you're dead. Even though you've died, I've died here as a town member. As long as the town wins, it doesn't matter if I die. All these town members that have died, as long as the town wins the game, they count as winning as well. It's not just the surviving players on the winning team that win, even the dead ones win as well. Otherwise it'd be too difficult for anyone to really win. Same with the mafia. You could have one mafia guy left. As long as they take everyone else out, they're going to win the game. The serial killer has to be the last man standing. That's only his thing. He's a neutral role. But the town will still win, even if you're dead, even if the town wins. The mafia will still win, even if most of their team are dead. It's all about the overall winning. It's not over until it's over. So only down to 5 people now. So it's getting a bit close. We've got 2 mafia members left, and we've got 3 townies left. So it's going to be quite close here. So this is kind of the point of the game where people start roll calling. They demand kind of everyone to reveal their role, because 2 people are going to lie. Because you've got 2 town members. So people are going to try and claim things. So say Jonathan Corwin here has claimed investigator. As I said earlier, we know he's lying. T.O. was our investigator. He's just died. And the random town was the only other player that could be an investigator, but the random town was our bodyguard, because he's not on this list. So we know he's lying. I'm going to see if they're going to pick on it. They don't seem to have picked up on that, which is again annoying. You will get stuff like this. If they'd all seen that, they would have realised, no, he's definitely lying. 2 of those people are mafia, obviously, so they're not going to vote for their own guy. But one of the townies there should have voted for that mafia member, and they didn't. which is a little bit annoying. I'm just saying this in the chat here. We do also have a medium. Where it says medium there, this is the dead chat. The medium's role is one of our town members. They can talk to the dead at night. However, you might think that's overpowered. They can just talk to all the dead people and get all the information. That's true. However, 1, the medium can still be killed. And 2, you have to be able to convince everyone that you're the medium. So the best thing to do with the medium, if you are the medium, get as much information as you can. That's why it's also a good idea to maybe stick around. If you die at night, but you got some information on the same night, you can tell the medium. The medium can put it in their will. Once they've written that in their will, if they then die, the medium has then written all the information down for the townie members saying, the dead told me all this. So say Madara picked up more information, the medium can leave in their will that, oh, Madara told me this person is the godfather because they managed to find it out. Medium dies, again, importance of last wills. Town can check that and they get all the information. So remember, if the medium's dead, you won't be able to do that, but if the medium's alive, the dead can chat to the medium at night. However, the medium then has to convince the town that they are the medium and they're not just trying to get someone killed. So no one seems to have died yet. I think what happened is that Jonathan Corwin is still claiming investigator. We know he's long. I think he was jailed by the jailer, who is a town role. He basically jails someone every night. If they're jailed, like when I escort them, they can't do anything. And he can also choose to execute them if he wants. So basically what he's done there is just jailed them. He's probably jailed the Godfather, who is the last mafia killing role, and that's prevented anyone from dying. So the jailer, as well as being able to execute people, can just jail them, hold them, and just make sure they know what they're doing. So I think they've worked out there that Gay Man is okay. He's literally just called himself Gay Man. He is the Godfather, I think, because the jailer has jailed them, and no one's died that night, which means the only mafia killing role was in jail, and they won't be able to do anything, which is why no one died. So they've basically used that to determine he must be the Godfather, which is good stuff. So as I was saying, it is annoying. The game, I've had a few games. Thankfully, a minority, that's a contradiction, a minority of games that do occasionally get ruined by people just being stupid and not understanding, quitting at the start when they're an important role, or generally just not understanding how the game works, voting for people they shouldn't be, just defying the logic. It does happen occasionally. Most of the time, the town, if you're on a town, is reasonably competent. There might be one or two who won't quite understand the rules. They might be new, still trying to work out how everything works. You've got to be a bit patient. Games can be ruined by idiots. That is the biggest problem I have with this game. But it is thankfully a minority of times. It's not anywhere near enough for me to stop playing the game. It's just one of those things you get with any sort of multiplayer game. There we go, he was the Godfather. So the jail has done their job. So there's now going to be 1 Mafia member left and 3 townies. So hopefully the 3 townies should be able to pull this through. So if you need any more information, apologies if I've had to run through things quite quickly. I'm just throwing a whirlpool of information at you, or if I'm rambling. If you have any questions, please let them know in the comments. I'll answer them as best I can. I'm also going to leave in the description, there's going to be a link to the Town of Salem wiki. That explains all the roles and how they work. Any of the mechanics. I suggest as well, if you want a few guides, there are quite a few good guides posted on the forums by the veteran players. Remember, this is the standard game mode as well, so the standard game mode has all these roles set the entire time. There are custom game modes. There are kind of some more random, some more fun, some more erratic ones. You can play custom game modes and just set whatever you want. And there is also a ranked game mode as well. And the scrolls I was talking about earlier do not affect a ranked. You cannot use a scroll in a ranked game mode. So the scrolls I was talking about, which increase your chances of being a certain class, are going to allow you to increase the chance of that, but they're only going to work in the standard game. If you do play in ranked mode, I haven't actually done it myself, the scrolls aren't going to work. You can also do custom game modes, in which I don't think they work either, but don't quote me on that, where you're going to get stuff like arsonists, witches, werewolves. It's a bit more random. It's not designed as more of a balanced game. It's designed kind of as a bit more of a laugh. So our vigilante, who was our town killing role, basically he had the option of picking any member to kill. Now both the town killing roles are double-edged swords. In this case we had a vigilante who can basically choose to shoot any member. However, if he shoots a town member, firstly that town member is then dead, which means we're 1 less person down. And it also means if the vigilante shoots a town member, they're going to commit suicide that night. So basically you lose 2 town members and gain nothing. However, if the vigilante obviously does choose their target properly, they can take out mafia at the night, which makes things easier for the towns. If they get hold of the right information, they can really swing a game. The other town killing role is the veteran. The veteran can basically go on alert at night. So if anyone visits them when they go on alert, they get 3 alerts in the game. They all get shot. regardless of what they were going to do. However, they can shoot a town member as well as any other role. So say, for example, the serial killer is going to visit the veteran while they're on alert. The serial killer gets shot, which is obviously good for the town, and the veteran survives. However, if the investigator visits them, the investigator gets shot, and that's bad for the town, including the vet. So both the town killing roles are double-edged swords in this case. So the vigilante can actually shoot a town member, then commit suicide. The veteran could go on alert and kill multiple town members. Anyone who visits him will get shot, regardless if they're good or bad. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. You've got to be a bit careful with the town killing roles. They can make or break games. And I think they've just managed to work out. So for some reason the vigilante shot the medium. Apparently they found him annoying. But I think they realised they only need 2 people to vote off Jonathan Corwin, who we know has been lying about being investigated the whole time, which means he's going to be the last member of Mafia. So I think we just did manage to pull this one out of the bag. And hopefully this confirms it now. I'm going to look a bit stupid. They both voted for him. I think this must be it. And mafioso. So that is that's a serial killer down and 3 mafia members down, which means town has won the game. I got 100 points for winning and a 2 times first one of the day bonus. So that's 200 merit points I got there. And that is a fairly standard game of Town of Salem. So hopefully that explains everything. So if you're confused about anything, there is a Town of Salem wiki roll link, as I said, in the description. There's also the link to the forums, and there's a link to the Steam store as well. If you don't want to buy it on the Steam store, as I haven't, there's the link just to the browser game as well. Any other information, please let me know. Other than that, thank you very much for watching. I hope it was of use to you, and I'll see you next time.